I'm Kristen Andre, founder and chief strategist of Andre Consulting Group. I founded my company almost 10 years ago because I love helping people not only succeed, but thrive in their careers and their lives. So many times I meet amazing people who have so much more potential than what they're utilizing. As I engage with them, there seems to be a common theme: the limits they place on themselves. Throughout this podcast series, we're going to visit some incredible people who have created more intentional lives for themselves, those who've had that no limits moment where they chose to grow and they put things in motion to help them do so. We'll focus on how you can break through limits, we'll equip you with strategies to help you lead a more intentional life, and we'll have a lot of fun along the way. So let's dive in. Hello, everyone, and welcome to No Limits with Kristen Andre. We are here today with Melinda Wilke, who is a wealth management advisor up in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. So thank you for being with us.
Thanks for having me.
I am excited to have you because we go way back in the day. Yeah. So this is exciting. So first of all, how's the weather up there?
You know what? It's actually pretty nice.
Wintertime in Wisconsin.
40s and rain.
That's not bad. You're not buried under a foot of snow, so that's a good thing.
Zero snow on the ground. This is a little odd for us.
That is a good thing. So I am super excited to have you on the show for a couple of reasons. One, like I said, Mindy and I go way back. For those of you guys listening, know I've worked in finance before, and when I came into the industry, we were kind of a couple lone wolves out there. There weren't a lot of females doing what we were doing at the time. It's growing. It's definitely growing. So share with us kind of your story, how you got in the industry, because you started basically as an infant, right? I mean, you pretty much right off the college campus, right?
Pretty young. I did. I was my senior year going to Marquette University, and I had been working at a different financial firm doing different things for about 2 years. And basically got recruited as an intern here. Okay. And that was almost 17 years ago, believe it or not.
Oh, wow. How about that? Mm-hmm. That's not to age you or anything.
Right.
All right.
So
when you first came in, because a lot of times we don't hear nowadays that people start a career and stick with it. And at this point, 17 years in, I mean, you're in for the long haul now. So what kind of made you stay with the industry and with the career?
Sure. So I just always thought I would. I thought it was more common to find, what that career path was. So I went to school for finance, and I knew I was going to be in something financial.
Okay.
But I wasn't looking for a job. I truly was looking for a career that could be where I put my roots down, make it my livelihood, and stay with it.
Okay.
So I guess I didn't know any different.
That's neat because, a lot of times, like I got out and you probably know this and people that listen a lot do. I was in healthcare before. So like a lot of people, I changed not just jobs, but complete careers and complete industries. So I think it's refreshing to see somebody, especially in finance, that has a finance degree and has been doing it for a long time, which is good.
I've been doing finance, believe it or not, since I've been about 12 years old.
Really? All right, yeah. So tell me that story, the teenage story or preteen story, I guess.
So my dad always owned his own small business.
Okay.
And my entire life. And when I was very young, I just found an interest in it. So I would sit with him at the kitchen table, and he would show me how he kept his general ledger of all of his expenses. He would show me how he would do his tax returns, and of course, owing money to taxes, to the government for taxes.
Yeah, a lot of money to taxes.
At 12 years old, I had a rude awakening that you have to pay taxes on your income and, expenses for running a company. So I just loved it.
That is very unusual for a preteen or a 12-year-old.
Mm-hmm.
Like I've got one that age that's 13, and I don't know if she's not aware of, she's aware of the mom tax. I don't know if you have the mom tax with your son, but the mom tax, if they have a good dessert and you're like, I need a bite, and they're like, no. And I'm like, it's the mom tax. Moms automatically get 25% of whatever you're eating. I think that's fair. That's really all the exposure to taxes my kids have right now.
I have not had to implement the mom tax yet. My son is 5.5, and he just still shares. He thinks sharing is what you're supposed to do, as he tells me sharing is caring. So
see, then you're raising him good, because somewhere down the line, maybe once they got in school, that sharing kind of went away a little bit, or especially with food and dessert. So
Right.
All
I'm
right, so
sure I'll get there eventually.
so you had a natural love for finance then early.
I did. I don't know why. It
Okay.
just did. It was just something that I think part of it was the enjoyment for me of being with my dad.
Yeah.
So because he was always working and he had to, my mom was home raising all of us. And so, my dad was a big believer of if you are awake, you should be working.
I love
And so
that.
he,
I
he
am too.
worked a lot.
Yeah.
We needed it. And I think it was just, it kind of happened to be, it meant I get to spend time with him, right?
Awesome.
And it actually was very logical to me. So it made sense. And I just kept going from there. So I actually used to do my parents' tax returns at a very, very young age. I did my own very young.
Oh, how
Uh,
cool.
Ended up
I like that. What
actually
are you
doing a
doing
lot
this
of,
weekend? I'm going to do mom and dad's taxes. I don't know about
I know
you.
it's so nerdy. It's not even funny, but
I
I
was gonna.
just
You
loved
said
it.
it, not me. I'm sitting there going, man. I mean, it's honestly what all of us wish our kids would do on weekends. Is I will give them my taxes or my P&L, let them play around with it for the weekend. That's awesome. So how are you taking that? Because that's a really it's interesting, and I don't know if you realize it's probably really uncommon. I just don't think a lot of people grew up doing that. Uh,
It, yeah, I don't think so. I mean, even my other siblings didn't do it,
Yeah.
right? But I don't know. I've always kind of just went to my own beat. I just didn't really care
Yeah.
what other kids were or weren't doing. It's what I enjoyed.
Okay.
And I think that's just been sort of a pathway I've taken throughout my entire life.
Okay.
It was something that was logical to me. I liked it, and I just kept doing it. My
Awesome.
dad was also just an extreme genius in math. Now, this is going to get really nerdy for you. Uh, Part of our entertainment, we would call it the dad calculator.
Okay.
And my siblings and I would be throwing math problems at him, and we'd have a calculator, and he had to solve the problem before we could hit equal on the calculator and get it correct.
Oh,
And it wasn't your
cool.
basic things, right?
Yeah.
It
It
was
wasn't like 5
like,
plus 8 or anything
oh
like that.
gosh, no,
Okay.
no, not at all. Uh,
Wow.
he sort of he has that a lot.
Yeah.
I have a little bit of that math genius, not to his level. So I just liked it, and it kept
That's
going from
awesome.
there.
That's awesome. So, I mean, I love it. I love the fact that you kind of picked an industry and stayed with it. So, all the stuff you learned as a kid, how has that helped you as a mom and
Oh
parenting
my
your
gosh.
own son when it comes to finances?
I think every time I'm in a store, I get those weird looks from parents. It's everything from, I've already been teaching him how he has to earn his own money.
Okay.
And
And he's
so when
5, right?
he is, so
Okay.
he's 5. So he knows the importance of when we go to work. We don't want to leave him. We want to be with him, but we have to go to work if we want to, live in a nice house or,
Right.
maybe go get a treat and go to dinner or something
Right.
like that. So we talk about it. We're very open about it.
Okay.
And then we talk about, when we're spending money, is it mom and dad's money or is it his money? And mom and dad's money
Oh.
is not his money. He has
I,
to
you know what?
earn his
I
own.
like that because I get we talk about earning and thing, but kids a lot of times think that. And I heard I don't remember. I think it was like Steve Harvey or somebody. I heard an interview with him, and one of his sons, it was either, I think it was Steve Harvey, and one of his kids were like, "We're rich," and he goes, "No, we aren't rich. Daddy's rich. You're not rich." And he talked about earning and it being his money versus the kids. That's a
Right.
good concept to teach them.
Yeah, I think it's a big deal. I mean, we'll go to a store and I don't know, let's say I'm there at a store looking for something and maybe he'll see a book, right? They always have those things when you first walk in a store
Oh my
or when you
gosh.
leave that kids want so bad.
I don't know who came up with the dollar section
Oh,
at Target, but good Lord, I try to go in the other door just so I can avoid that section.
yes,
Yeah.
you blow half your budget on the dollar
Yep.
section because you
Exactly.
don't buy one.
Exactly.
And and he'll find like a Star Wars book or something and he'll want it. And we also was saying that, if you want something, you actually don't get it. So I'll say, if you want it, what happens? And he goes, oh, I don't get it. So he knows that life is not about wanting.
Yeah.
And then what we'll do is I'll say, tell you what, how about you look at it while we go through the store? So of course that does two things for me. One, it entertains him and I can keep
Yep.
shopping.
Okay.
The second is he gets to look at it, right? So he gets to look at it. And then I say at the end, let's make a decision together if you feel it's worth your money. His money, not my money, his money.
Okay.
And he'll say, deal, let's do it, Mom.
I like
So,
it.
we'll walk around the store. And of course, he looks at about 3 pages. And when we're all done, I let him make his decision.
Yep.
So I'll say, okay, what'd you think of the book? It was pretty good. And what would you like to do? And he'll always say, well, how much does it cost?
Right.
So,
That's a good
and they're not
awareness.
cheap,
Right.
$10 or something like that. And then I always compare it to something. So it's $10 bought us, and I'll give them something in the cart, right?
Yep.
Like maybe 2 gallons of milk or
Yeah.
whatever. So that's what $10 gets us. Or your $10 could go for this book. What would you like to do? Almost always he will say, I'm good. I think
Okay.
I'd rather just put the book away and I don't need it. Okay, sounds
Nice.
good.
That's really good. I'm wondering if I'm sitting here going, does this work on a 20-year-old? Because I think she's starting to grasp it. Maybe I think I've got a couple of little ones that we might still be able to, But people
I have to
don't.
do it for 55-year-olds, so I think you can do it on any age.
It's probably true. It's true because we weren't taught. Most of us weren't. I mean, you
Right.
had a great upbringing. I did too. My dad's in finance, so I get the value of everything. Didn't keep me from being a spender
Sure.
because if we look at my brother and I, he was the saver, I was the spender, and
Sure.
so I never would have that discussion. It was more the immediate gratification, and that was how my oldest is, and now that she's in college and working because she has a set amount of money she gets every month that I give her as part of her allowance because she is in school full time. That's just choice I've made. But if she wants above that, it covers all her needs, not all of her needs and some of her wants. But if she wants anything
Sure.
above that, she works part time. And now that it's her money, she's really starting to understand the value of that dollar, what it pays for, what
Absolutely.
it covers, and yeah.
Really young in my career here, which is funny to say that. I think I'm still young. But when I was younger in my career, one of the things I did is I would volunteer for the Girl Scouts,
Okay.
and I would be teaching 10-year-old, 11-year-old girls about money. And I was shocked at their thoughts about money. And it was everything from, well, mom and dad just have a credit card,
Yep.
and that's
They
how they
put it on the
buy
credit
things.
card. Yep.
hmm But they had no concept on, of course, if you don't pay a credit card, how much something really can cost.
Right.
They also already had concepts of creditors calling mom and dad, and you don't answer those phone calls.
Oh, wow. Oh,
Of
goodness.
course, it's always interesting what 10 and 11-year-olds
Oh, yeah,
tell
they'll
strangers,
say
right?
anything. Yep. Yep. Exactly.
And they're still very honest.
Yeah.
And so that was, I was surprised that young people thought that way. Because of course at that time I didn't have a child.
Right.
I didn't think that as a young person.
Right.
So it was just eye opening to me. Or they already knew how much a Starbucks would cost, and I thought, how do you know that?
Oh, they
Why
know
are
that. Like
you?
the Starbucks line is half people under the age of 16, I think. Oh,
Yes. Yeah.
yeah.
So that sort of made me realize I better step it up
Yeah.
with my own child as young as possible. And to me, it's never too young.
I agree with
Um,
you. Yeah. I
and
think
then
that's fantastic. David Bach, if you've read any of his stuff, talks about the latte factor and how that the Starbucks adds up, especially if you're I mean, I don't know a lot of people that are charging a Starbucks, but I'm sure people do. You're gonna
oh,
pay
I'm
a
sure.
thousand dollars for that $5 Starbucks if you're not careful, if you let that hang on. So it's a good
Right.
concept to teach people early. Um, I love it. So, how does that translate to your practice? You said you've got some 55-year-olds you're teaching the same concept, and I know that was the case when I was still practicing as well. What are you seeing out there in the marketplace now in terms of, I would say, money awareness?
Sure. So, it's all over the board. So, our typical client base is about 55 years old. They typically are married, they have adult children. I would see that majority of my 55-year-olds, they're actually pretty smart about money.
Good,
But
good.
what they don't really know is how it all fits together,
Right.
right? So, that's a lot of the conversation. And then well, what's going to happen 10 years, 20 years, 30 years from there? That is sort of a lost art in a lot
Okay.
of people.
Yeah.
And then I really find a big struggle in, my 55-year-olds talking to their adult children.
Right.
And, right, so those adult children, are sort of going to be like a liability or a burden
Yeah.
on our clients going into maybe something like retirement, which is a
Yep.
really big deal. And we have to start teaching them how to start separating that and how to say no and how to give your kids the right tools, because you don't
Right.
want to say no and let them go drowned. That's
Right.
not acceptable.
Right.
Right. So
Absolutely.
it's starting the no's in a safe spot
Okay.
and giving the kids the tools. So it's funny how this has sort of been in my, I guess my toolbox since I've been a really
Yeah.
young person, and
So who better
that
to
we're seeing
teach
a
it
lot of
since you've
it.
kind of lived it yourself and are teaching it with your son? Hey,
Right.
so your son's going to be a rock star. He's going to be ahead of all of us in a few years with all these
I'm going to
lessons
knock
he's
on a lot
learning.
of wood. I hope so.
Yeah, yeah. Well, we're going to pause for a minute and take a short break. And when we come back, we're going to dive into Mindy's work-life balance and schedule, because I think you guys will be impressed to hear what she's done and the freedom she's created in her career. So we'll be back in just a second. Hey everyone, it's Kristen. Be sure and visit my website at www.andregroup.com. That's www.andreegroup.com. And while you're there, be sure to download my white paper, Top 10 Reasons Your Business Isn't Growing Fast Enough. Now get out there and create your no limits moment. Welcome back, everyone, to No Limits with Kristen Andre. We are here with Mindy Wilke, who is a wealth management advisor out of Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And prior to the break, we were talking about some awesome tips you had for kind of helping kids understand the concept of money and saving and really the value of a dollar. So, you've built a great practice. You have a pretty extensive staff and a team that you work with. But what I'm most intrigued by is kind of the balance you've created, because we hear this work-life balance thing and that it's a myth, and I think a lot of times it is. It's hard. You can't have everything all at once, but
Right.
You've really created a nice, thriving business, and you have a heck of a lot of time and for family and fun too. So tell us what you do. What's your week look like?
Sure. So basically, Monday I start at noon. I also do it from home.
Okay.
And then Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday are what I call normal days.
Okay.
So I start work at 8. I'm finished at 5. And then Friday, I don't work. And of course, I don't work Saturday and Sunday.
Okay.
So
You're
we work.
in the office or working with your clients about 3.5 days a week.
That's right.
Okay.
Yep.
Now you didn't start like this.
Oh gosh,
because
no.
I know you were at the beginning. We were working 10 days a week at the beginning of the career.
I did. Yes, I figured out how to get the 8 and 10 days during a week.
Oh yeah.
I definitely worked the 60, 70-hour weeks. And I actually did it probably longer than most people did. And that's really what helped me. Right. So I've been in the career before I made that shift to 4 days and then the 3.5 days. I was in this career for 12 years, working 60 plus hours a week, always.
And I think that's important to realize, because, we'll see the books like, the 4-hour work week and all this stuff. And those are great time management concepts. But I think sometimes they do us a disservice, because a lot of times kids are getting out of college going, I can work 4 hours a week and be done. And you put, you paid most of us, we paid a price early on to earn the right to be able to do that.
Right. I mean, I've worked my entire college time. So I worked full time as a college student.
Okay.
Also at full time. So I'm used to working.
Yep.
And, as I had mentioned, our parents really instilled in us very young that if you were awake, you're working. So I just thought it was normal that you work 60, 70, 80 hours a week. You do whatever it takes to get your job done.
So what made you want to shift and kind of pare down the work hours a little bit?
Sure. Well, prior to paring down, I actually had 3 roles that I had.
Okay.
So I was an owner of two of the firms, and then having my own financial advising business. So the 3 I was doing at one time.
Okay.
So definitely easily working a 60, 70-hour work week.
Yep.
And basically family happened. So my husband and I finally were able to have a baby, and we had it a little bit older. So I was 35 when we had our only child.
That's not older. It's still young.
I get
Still
told I'm
young.
older.
They now refer to it as the advanced maternal age because they used to call it, my first child, or second child, they called it a geriatric pregnancy. And that's just
Oh,
mean. I mean, really?
that's awful.
Yeah. So by my third child, they had changed the term to that I was at the advanced maternal age. Neither one of them felt good. I'm just saying. So, any of
No.
you OBGYN practitioners out here listening, let's find a better term. So,
Right.
but yeah, so 35. I mean, that's still young. I think a lot of times, a lot of people I know, they're having their first children late 30s, early 40s. But
Yeah, I mean, it felt pretty normal to me. I was at
yeah,
that point ready, so it was great. And it's funny, leading up to actually having the baby, a lot of my coworkers, which would of course be males, said to me, "Well, what are you going to do when you have a kid? Like, how are you going to do all of this?" And I remember at that time, my reaction was just like you. I'll just keep working. What's the big deal?
yeah. And let's
And
let's pause for a minute there because I think I don't want to glaze over that because a lot of women I know are asked that question. Like,
Mhm.
when you're pregnant about to have a baby, like, oh, you guys are having a child. What are you going to do? I've not once heard any of the guys ask that question. Like, oh my gosh, your wife is pregnant. What are you going to do? So
Right.
it's just kind of the assumption is like, oh no, we're going to lose you. I mean, I guess I'm sure it was a fear on their part that you were going to not be there for them anymore.
Right. And
Yeah.
I will say truly at that time, I actually believed I was going to stay in those three roles.
Okay.
And then I had this amazing child, and literally the day he was born, like my life just completely did a 180. And I had no idea what it was like to feel being a mom,
Yeah.
right? And of course, anybody who has a child says, "Well, duh, of course." I didn't think I really had that in me, I guess. I just
Yeah.
thought I really didn't. And so I was just shocked by it. And I realized it was something I really wanted and I didn't know it.
Okay.
And so I took about 8 weeks for maternity leave
Okay.
where I did not come back into the office at all for during the 8 weeks, which is also very different to do.
Very different. Yeah.
Mhm.
I
But I
was
did,
I
and I
was
had
toting newborns and all kind of equipment and everything in the office after a few weeks.
yeah, I did not. I just said I'm going to enjoy these 8 weeks and see what
Good for
happens.
you.
And I also had a phenomenal team, as I do today, that
Yep.
they ran everything. So
Yep.
it was in good shape. And during those 8 weeks, I just realized I want time with my son.
Okay.
Of course, I want family time, but
Right.
I literally wanted to make sure I had time that was just him and I. And I thought, this is going to be really sad if I only get 8 weeks with him and never again. And
Yeah.
that's really what did it for me. So I never came back on a Friday, and I
Okay.
didn't plan it. It happened.
Okay.
And so I came back, back into work and gave everybody a heads up of I don't work on Fridays anymore.
But
and
lo and
literally,
behold, your practice, because I've known you throughout these 5 years,
mhm,
not only did you not take a step back with
right.
the growth of your practice has grown a lot
Yes, it
in the
has.
last 5 years. So it's interesting because a lot of times we were like, oh, if I take a day off a week, my productivity is going to slow down. The work
Right.
I get done, I'm not going to be able to take on as many clients. I think you saw the opposite, didn't you?
Correct.
Yeah.
Yeah, we just really so I basically pared back on the two ownerships and just focused on being the wealth advisor,
Yep.
and really that's where my passion is. And so it was easy
Yeah.
to do that for 4 days, and I felt like, as we were saying before, like I was sort of on vacation almost,
Yeah.
because it didn't feel like that much work compared to
I
what I was
know.
doing before.
Working
And
30 hours a week, you're slacking off here, Mindy.
right. And and I also, quite honestly, I never wanted to use an excuse of that I had a child, and
Right.
that's why, right, we didn't maybe hit particular goals or didn't do certain things. I
Sure.
just was not willing to let that be an excuse.
I think that's because it can be, and it is for so many people, and it's not just children. I mean, it's children, it's outside responsibilities, it's caring for
Right.
elderly parents, it's all these things that we can understandably argue that that's why our productivity slips, but it's really not the case. I mean, I always say the work you have to do expands or contracts to the time you have for it. So if you say I'm going to work 3 days, you can get it all done in those 3
Absolutely.
days. You really can.
Absolutely. If
No,
you're good at prioritizing and efficient and use technology, you absolutely can.
so I'd love to dive in with you because a lot of our listeners, not just in the financial space, but do have their own businesses and are
Mhm.
entrepreneurs and they're trying to create some efficiency. So I'm interested with you on the technology and the team piece because I know your clients, which for an advisory practice I think is fantastic, but it's not as common as one would think. You've got clients in, what'd you say, 30? How many states do you have clients in?
39 states.
39 states. Okay. So obviously you are not hopping on a plane going to see all these clients. So what role does technology play in growing your business?
Technology runs about 75% of our meetings.
Okay.
So, it's things like this, right? Like
Right.
I'm sitting in Milwaukee,
Yep.
right? You're clearly not in Milwaukee as
Hmm.
much as I would love to be in Georgia. I'm not. But, so I do things like this, but I use GoToMeeting, right? Doesn't
Okay.
matter what the tool is. So we do a lot of our meetings that way. We have websites where like the cloud,
Yep.
where clients are able to upload their data to us and vice
Yeah.
versa. So they always have their hands on it. So we're paperless and we're accessible via things like this, media
Yeah.
streams.
Yeah.
So that from a client perspective feels like they always have the connection to us.
I think the
And
technology is huge,
it
especially
is.
especially in your industry, especially in finance, because the cloud is like this magic thing because you can all the documents you could never find. A lot of the advisors, like yourself, I could just call my advisor and say, "Hey, I need this." You're like, "Okay, it's here." It's you kind of
Right.
do kind of pull everything together for people, which is for people who aren't as organized. I think that's a good advantage. So it kind of lets you
Absolutely.
be everywhere at once, right?
It does, as well as the team, right?
Okay.
So it was just as important for our team to be able to access these materials because what we found is maybe a team member needs, let's call it that magical piece of paper in that manila folder, but I
Right.
need it as well.
Okay.
Well, that means we both can't work at the same time.
Got it.
And
Yeah.
if you start looking at that within your firm, you'll realize there are a lot of inefficiencies, or
Yep.
one person may type something, but because they store it on their computer, when somebody else needs it, they have to retype
You
it.
don't see it.
Well, what if we just shared it, right? And we all had this common, like in the cloud
Right.
file cabinet,
Right.
and yet we could all access everything whenever, wherever we need it.
And I think it's easy to use. I am not I'm great. I'm good with social media and things like that, but from technology standpoint it is not my strong suit. But even I can figure out how to get things out of the cloud and it's great.
It
People
is.
will, well, I don't know because sometimes people share things with me. I'm like, I can't find it. I don't know where it is. Isaac's my producer's laughing because he's like, I just sent you something. You still can't open it. But it's something we can all learn. And I think will connect us even more from a business standpoint
Right.
than we were before.
Well, and if you can do that, it also can expand your team,
Yep.
right? I mean, we have a team member who actually works for us out of Hawaii.
Oh, I want to do that. Okay.
Right.
Yeah.
And her husband had an opportunity that he could take a job opportunity in Hawaii. So she was here locally with us, and of course, we love her.
Yep.
And it was a fantastic opportunity for her husband, for the family. And I was not going to, of course, stand in that way
Right.
and say, "Oh no,"
Right.
right? So we just said, "What's the difference? What's the
Yep.
difference? All of our technology works anywhere,
Yeah.
so why not have you go to Hawaii?"
And it lets you
So we
keep
do.
good people,
Hmm.
retain people that are good to your
Right.
team.
You
Okay.
can retain good people. You also have the opportunity that you can recruit people
Yeah.
from really all over the world if you wanted to.
Right. I think that's awesome. Awesome.
Hmm.
So you've got a team that you've built out pretty well.
Hmm.
What's next for you? I mean, I think like a lot of my advisors that I have the opportunity to work with that are like yourself, very high end, works with a high end clientele, more affluent. They're building really robust teams and they're using technology. And I mean, to a person, the top advisors, this is just what they do. I mean,
Right.
they still, because it enhances the relationship and it allows them to be more efficient with, their team and their time and their technology to be able to do that. Yeah. What's next for you?
So, I mean, what's next is we need to find our own successor.
Okay.
And, I'm already a successor to another advisor, and it works very well.
Okay.
And I'm sure a lot of people think I may be too young to do that, but I don't think that's true, right?
No,
Anything can
yeah.
happen
Yep.
at any time. So it's really looking for our next successor that's going to join our firm.
Yep.
And start expanding that way. Then we'll
You got to find that college student that was doing dad's taxes while she on the weekends. And find another Mindy.
Yeah.
I like it. I like it. All right. Well, we're going to take another short break. And when we come back, we're going to wrap up our time and come up with a little challenge for you guys to make sure you're implementing everything that we learned today. So we'll be right back. Hey everyone, check out my podcast, No Limits with Kristen Andre, on Tuesday nights at 7:30. We will tackle the things holding you back and the limits you set on yourself and equip you with some strategies to lead more intentional lives. Podcast launches every Tuesday at 7:30 p.m. on facebook.com/Andre Group. That's facebook.com/ANDREE Group. We'll see you there. Hi, everyone, and welcome back to No Limits with Kristen Andre. We are wrapping up our time with Melinda Wilke from Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Nice winter up there. But before the break, we were talking about technology and embracing technology and kind of how it's allowed you to have not only a client base that's around the country, but a team that's around the country now, too. I'm still pretty jealous of your girl in Hawaii.
We all are.
I get these kids through school. It's me and a beach. I'm telling you, somewhere. So that I could easily see that. So, it's what feedback do you get from your clients? Like, what are they telling you about seeing you face to face when they know you might be 1,000 miles away?
Sure. So, our clients really like that they can meet with us during the day and they do not need to get into a car and drive to our office.
Okay.
That's a big deal,
Okay.
right? So our clients also love it so we're a purely referral business. I only know clients because they've connected me from, right, their brother, their sister, their coworker, somebody.
Sure. Yep.
And, when they're connecting me to somebody in Texas, for example, and I'm in Wisconsin, our clients really love it that they can connect us, and it doesn't matter that the client is in another state.
Yep.
Because we can just use technology and they will still get the same advisor and they'll still get the same, work in the same team.
The same level of service and everything. And I think,
right.
You mentioned something about instead of having to drive to your office because I hadn't really thought about that with technology, but it's true. Here in Atlanta, if it's pretty safe to say if I've got to go 5 miles, it's an hour probably. What do you think? Probably an hour. If you got to go 20 miles, it's definitely it really depends. The traffic here is insane, as I know it is in LA and DC and a lot of cities. But it would save them a lot of time.
It does. And we don't have the traffic issues,
Yep.
but our weather changes so much here.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
So that's a big deal.
Yep.
I couldn't function for about 5 months out of the year with winter.
I remember I was in Milwaukee for 2 years, as you know, for
Mm-hmm.
a leadership program. And I used to joke that it was, or somebody had told me that Milwaukee has 2 seasons, winter and July. And I'm like, that's true.
I think it's technically winter and construction.
Winter and construction. Okay. Well, see, because they can only do the construction in July. But it's true because, you don't think about it. People cancel meetings a lot. I know that's a lot of challenge. Like, all of my appointments canceled because for whatever industry you're in, people aren't coming. They're not getting on the roads. So if you have a service-based industry or business, it would be easy to do that stuff via phone.
Mm-hmm.
Nice.
Or we'll have it where, somebody calls and they were going to come in in an hour, but their child got sick and they need to go pick them up and get them home.
Yep.
We just say, no problem. If you want to, we can just, you can jump on your computer at home and we can just do the meeting and you can be there with your child if that works. Right.
Right.
Or reschedule whatever they need. But most of our clients actually really prefer it now because it just lets them still run their life. But now they can get the financial, meetings and planning done during the day.
I love that.
Nobody really wants to come in at 7 o'clock at night.
Exactly. No one does. And plus, like you said, you want to be done by 5. All right. So every episode we issue a challenge to our listeners. Mm-hmm. And I think this technology piece is it because for a lot of people, is scary. Technology is scary. You see, I'm guilty of this because I am the one that I will literally, like, all right, let me adjust the camera, and I'm moving my computer, just trying to figure out what's the best angle. For me, maybe that's just vanity. I don't know. But a lot of times I think people are just scared. So what challenge can we issue to them to help embrace them? Because obviously for you and your practice and the benefit of your clients, it's been a huge help to do that. So what do we want to have the listeners do, Mindy?
I think it would be great to hear, why are they not embracing technology?
Okay.
What are they scared about? What do they think will happen
Okay.
if they embrace technology? And
Yep.
I do believe those fears are real and they're there, because otherwise everybody would have implemented it.
Okay.
So they need to be able to talk through that. And then I think a challenge would be to a typical face-to-face meeting that you would run it via technology, whether that's using FaceTime on your phone or a GoToMeeting or a Zoom type app, and see what happens, and ask, and give the client a heads up that you want to try something new. And to let them know that you're new at it, and that's okay, because you're going to fumble and you're not going to know where the keys are and what buttons you hit.
Right.
And then, at the end of it, maybe come back and let us know, how did it feel, right? How did it feel? Do you feel like you missed out on something?
Yeah.
How real was that fear? And then what did it let you do because of using that technology? So what did you gain?
Okay. I like it. I like that a lot. So here's our challenge now. And you guys that have been listening a while, or if you're brand new to the show, we have a page on Facebook. It's at #NoLimitsMoment, where we post all the challenges and all the episodes, and you guys can tell us how you do. So the challenge this week is to embrace technology. Think through what it is that scares you. Like me, it's that dreaded camera. So think through that is, but embrace it and go after it anyway. Try to figure out what it is you can do, and take one of those meetings that you were going to do face to face and use technology. I think that's a great one. Mindy, thank you so much for being here, being there, being with us today. And I really, really appreciate your input. So it has been great talking with you. And until next time, folks, keep pushing past those limits.